months, the CBS 12 News I-Team has been reporting on guardianship abuse in Florida, highlighting cases where the people paid to protect our most vulnerable are instead exploiting them.
Yeah, the stories are astounding here. Well, today our I-Team investigator Danielle DeRoss back with a full slate of reports in our newscast and across our digital and social platforms, including new guardianship reforms being considered in Tallahassee right now.
So right now we begin this morning with the story of a Florida family fighting to get their disabled son out of guardianship and back home.
Often these stories involve senior citizens, but this one shows that young people can be placed in guardianships too, leaving parents with nowhere to turn.
I was excited, extremely happy, waiting for my first son.
Rutheyln Rojas didn't think she could have children, so when she became pregnant, it felt like a miracle. The birth came with challenges. Her son Omar lost oxygen and suffered brain damage, leaving him severely disabled with cerebral palsy. Doctors predicted he would only survive a few months, but soon Omar will be celebrating his 22nd birthday.
I'm his 24/7 nurse.
You never left his side?
Never, never. With him day and night, every single appointment, school, activities, everywhere.
The family won a large settlement from the hospital, money used to provide constant in-home care for Omar. But when he turned 18, his parents were going through a divorce. Both petitioned the court to be his guardian. So the judge appointed a professional guardian named Susan Whitney to oversee Omar's care. Did you have any reason to think that having a guardian would be a bad thing?
Oh, no. No. I think and I accept, like the court tell us, will be a person between parents and Omar and guide you and help you to make the best decisions for Omar.
But Rutheyln and Omar's care team quickly became alarmed by the guardian's behavior. In this letter to the Office of Public and Professional Guardians, his clinical care manager disagrees with some of Whitney's medical decisions, like reducing the food in Omar's feeding tube. Calling the guardian inappropriate, unethical, and even threatening to Omar's mother, the care manager quoted Whitney as once saying, "I'm mom now. I make the decisions." Then came the day Rutheyln waited for Omar to come home from school, but he never got off the bus. She was desperate to find him, fearing the worst. That must have been terrifying.
Terrifying. Was horrible for us, thinking something happened to him.
Eventually, she learned the guardian took him from school to a group home, in spite of the fact that the healthcare team warned against removing Omar from his loving, caring home. It took days for Rutheyln to find out exactly where her son was. Then the guardian moved him again, and now he is in a facility 2 hours away.
Grandma Elephant. He knows he's not at home. He's not with mommy. He's not with his family. And time passed, and now when I visit to him every week, it's different. He's like sad.
The state did investigate the complaints against Susan Whitney and acknowledges that the guardian removed Omar from his home without notifying his parents. But overall, they found the evidence against her insufficient. Today, even though his parents have set aside their differences and asked the judge to end the guardianship so Omar can come home, Guardian Whitney is still in charge, keeping Omar in a group home, managing his care and his settlement money. What do you want to see happen in the perfect situation?
Oh, Lord. And the perfect situation, Omar back home. Omar back to his room. We don't know how long Omar will live, but we want to be together with him. We want Omar with us. I want to have the privilege, mother privilege, to take care of my son day and night.
I love you for always, as soon as I'm leaving.
So now she prays for another miracle, for the judge to reverse his decision and end the guardianship before it's too late. The Office of Public and Professional Guardians report contains a summary of that interview with Omar's guardian. Susan Whitney maintains that Omar's family became dependent on the hospital settlement money, and she even claims that they mismanaged it. She also denies ever being threatening or verbally abusive. We reached out to her for a comment and through her assistant declined an interview. For now, Rutheyln says she is looking for a lawyer to fight to bring her son home.
This morning, continuing all day in our newscasts and on our social and digital platforms, the CBS 12 News I-Team is continuing our coverage of guardianship abuse and potential reform here in Florida. You
really feel for the people involved here, as the exploitation of the elderly and the disabled under this system is an issue we've been covering for months. And now we have an update on one of our first stories on this topic, a Treasure Coast man who got out of his guardianship and is now working to change the system that controlled his life for years.
Here's I-Team investigator Danielle DeRoss.
Michael Lincoln-McCreight's story is a beacon of hope for anyone placed in a guardianship who doesn't belong under someone else's control. And now he's fighting to keep other people with developmental disabilities out of the system. Michael McCreight calls this part of Port St. Lucie his thinking spot. And lately, he's been thinking about how far he's come since he got his life back.
I think about that every single day. People know me everywhere in Port St. Lucie.
Last year, he shared his story with the I-Team, how he lost all of his rights to a court-appointed guardian when he aged out of the foster care system.
Why am I here? Why did I deserve this?
Michael has a disability, but is hardly incapacitated. Forced to live in this group home with no phone, no internet, and no access to his own money, he hatched a plan to get free. He smuggled in a disposable cell phone, hid in a closet, and called Disability Rights Florida. A lawyer there helped him petition the court for a reevaluation, and Michael became the first person in Florida to end his guardianship under a new model called supported decision-making. Now a team of trusted adults helps him make certain decisions, but he's living a completely independent, free, and full life with a girlfriend, a promotion at work, and a busy calendar as an advocate for Floridians with disabilities.
Every person with a disability deserves to have that chance, not just be thrown into guardianship and take their rights away.
Michael, it's good to have you here with us today.
He's on a state task force to reform Florida's guardianship system, and he's working with a coalition called I Decide to pass legislation which would require judges to consider supported decision-making for people with disabilities before resorting to a guardianship. When the bill came up in a legislative committee, so did Michael's name.
Michael Lincoln-McCreight is from my community in St. Lucie County, and when I was running for office, he called me one day and said, I'd like to talk to you about supported decision-making. I'm a person with disabilities. Supported decision-making has made a huge difference in Michael's life. And I'm sure that with favorable votes today, that we'll move through committees and better lives will be had.
I never thought that my name would be in a committee session, talked about lawmakers in front of a whole bunch of committee members. I'm like, okay, this is interesting.
Michael is getting other recognition for his efforts as well. He recently won the Idelio Valdez Leadership and Advocacy Award from the Florida Developmental Disabilities Council. He says with every award, accomplishment, and recognition, it proves the people wrong who put him under a guardianship. And he hopes those things will also inspire change for others.
It shows how much I can actually grow and actually accomplish things. And it shows how other people with disabilities can also do the same thing.
We have an update on that bill for supported decision-making and news about other legislation being considered right now in Tallahassee that could overhaul the state's guardianship system. We'll take a closer look at those potential breakthroughs coming up on CBS 12 News tonight, starting at 5 o'clock.
We'll be on CBS 12 News, a daughter's quest to find her missing mother after years of searching for answers. There could be a break in the case.
A Jane Doe in Palm Beach County matches the description of Diane Francis. So could it be her? CBS 12's Stephanie Valderrama now with the exclusive story of a decades-long mystery. Steph?
Liz, Sherry tells me her mother's potential last whereabouts could be as far north as Jacksonville or right here in Palm Beach County. She says police never took the case seriously until a Palm Beach County Sheriff's deputy took a missing persons report back in 2019, helping the family get one step closer to answers that they so desperately want. Diane Francis was born in 1968 and was raised between New Jersey and Florida. Sherry, Diane's youngest daughter, says after she was born, her parents packed up the family and moved to Melbourne, Florida. But the good times in the Sunshine State only lasted for a little while.
My mother and father split, And so my father went back to Jersey by himself. My mother, my sister, and myself stayed in Florida. And so that's basically when everything began.
When Sherry was around 4 years old, she ended up in foster care along with her older sister.
My mother would work to get us back, and then we'd be back with her, and then we'd be back in foster care.
The reason the state determined Diane was unable to properly care for her daughters due to her use of drugs and transient lifestyle. When Sherry was 10 years old in a courtroom before a judge, she listened to her mother via phone give up her parental rights. Sherry and her sister were placed in a foster home in Boynton Beach.
My sister and I lost it that day, you know. We just broke down crying. That was the last time we ever saw her. And we didn't actually see her in 2003. Like I mentioned, she was just there over the phone.
Around the time she was 17, Sherry reconnected with her grandparents. Rekindling that relationship was the catalyst that launched Sherry into wanting to find her mother, Diane.
I sat down at the dinner table with my entire family and asked my grandfather, you know, like, well, have you guys seen her? You know, like, where is she? Who was the last one to speak to her?
The answer was the same nearly every time. Diane might have called the family on Thanksgiving of 2006, but no one was truly able to confirm that actually happened. According to documents obtained by CBS 12 News, Diane was arrested in 2005 by the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. It was the last time she had a run-in with law enforcement. Sherry traced her mother's footsteps, hiring a private investigator, tracking down friends and old boyfriends, and she uncovered her mother sometimes went by an alias, Kimberly Teresa Foreman, a name that led her search to Jacksonville, Florida. But that's where her efforts ended. Sherry says the sheriff's office wouldn't take a missing persons report, but they did have a strange memo about Diane.
Her ex-boyfriend from 1999 calling the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office to try and report her missing. And so that was a little odd to me.
The same documents obtained by CBS 12 News also show in 2015 the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office did take an information report. A John T. Boggs was trying to locate Diane after not seeing her for several years.
For me, that was a little suspicious.
Over the years, Sherry continued to reach out to law enforcement throughout the East Coast of Florida. In 2019, her prayers were answered.
My mom has two front teeth that turn in towards each other, sort of like this. And some of these Janes have that. But then this one popped up in West Palm Beach, and they were like, you know, why don't you just contact the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office?
An investigator of the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office finally took the missing persons report. That allowed for Sherry's DNA to be entered into a system to cross-match it with the Jane Doe in Palm Beach County, and really any in the state of Florida and across the country.
It was just a long time coming. You know, it was like, finally somebody hears me, like for me and my mom.
In late 2020, the Orlando Police Department also reached out to PBSO about a possible match, but Sherry's DNA is still being processed and then has to be entered into the FBI database before it can be tested against the Jane Doe here in Palm Beach County and the human remains in Orlando.